All right.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
Welcome, everyone. Tonight's Board of Education meeting is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here, and thanks for all these amazing goodies here. This is amazing. Secretary Jocelyn, will you please take roll?
Yes, I think everybody is here.
Perfect.
All members accounted for.
Perfect. Colleagues, we're going to now move on to the approval of tonight's agenda. So unless there are objections, tonight's agenda will be approved as printed. Okay, very good. Colleagues, now moving on to public comments on action items. I do not have any green cards. Are there any green cards in the audience this evening? And these would be public comments on action items, things that we would be voting on this evening. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Moving on really quick. Colleagues, we're going to go over here a little update. This is our organizational meeting, so for those following along at home, this is when we get to sort of review some of our board operating norms, we get to elect our officers' position, and really we just get to sort of set the tone, set our agenda, schedule for the year. So this is more or less a working meeting, and so what we're going to do here really quick is move through a short presentation that we had last year. And this is really, too, for our community to understand the work of boards of education. We often get a lot of emails saying, oh, you're a board member, you should do this, you should do that. And that reflects, maybe a misunderstanding of the role of boards. So we're going to move through this relatively quickly. So we know that here in Waterford, we have a strategic plan, and believe it or not, we're like in the latter half of that strategic plan now. Which is slated to expire in 2026. And we know that in Waterford, we're inspired, educated, and empowered to thrive. This is our mission. We provide exemplary educational experiences for each student to thrive. And within our strategic plan, we have these areas of focus: academics, programs, personnel, leadership, operations, communications, and community engagement. I hope this presentation is part of that as well. And a focus on our learning environment and culture here in WSD. And as a Board of Education, the investments we make are driven by these 5 critical areas, by our mission, and by our goals. So that's why this strategic plan is so important. That's why we spend a lot of time talking about it, referencing it throughout the year. And as we mentioned a little earlier, it's useful because it's our organizational meeting to spend some time sort of talking about board processes, policies, and procedures. It's board member appreciation month. It's our organizational meeting. It's an election year, so we might have some people who are following along at home wondering what's this school board stuff all about. So we hope maybe this can provide a little bit of a primer on the work of school boards. And finally, it's good to revisit this work of us as a school board, because this is how we can contribute to student success. So really quick, we're going to go over, as expressed in Michigan compiled law. Let me read this really quick. A general power school district has all the rights, powers, and duties expressly stated in this act, may exercise a power implied or incident to a power expressly stated in this act. We go through, it says, hey, school boards, they're important, and they have these specific duties. They educate pupils, they provide for the safety and welfare of pupils while at school or a school-sponsored activity, or while en route to or from a school or school-sponsored activity. So from the moment our students step foot on the bus to the moment they step foot to go home. Except as otherwise provided in the section, they acquire, they construct, they maintain, repair, renovate, dispose of, or convey school property, facilities, equipment, technology, or furnishings. It goes on. There's in Michigan compiled law, it says the school boards hire and they contract services. They acquire more property or equipment, technology. They receive, account, they oversee the budgets, borrowing money. Again, so many of our signatures are on how do we spend our money? How do we account for our grants? We can enter into agreements with other partners, with other service providers. And of course, we have to have bylaws. The Michigan compiled law says that we have to have one business meeting a month where we actually vote on things and take action. So here's what we want to understand. That we have all this big law that says, hey, here's what school boards do, and it looks like a lot. And then we have board policies. And these board policies spell out the parameters for board actions, for administrator decision-making, and general teaching and learning within the district. It's the framework. Now, we might sort of look at Michigan compiled law, we might look at board policies, and maybe we might get the impression that, well, do boards of education do it all? They can do whatever they want? Well, no, they can't. I know. Because at the end of the day, boards of education have to follow federal law, state law, the Open Meetings Act, local law. We have our own board policies. We have Roberts rules for how we conduct ourselves at our meetings. So we have things that we have to follow, things that we have to abide by, and we have Ms. Megan Roberts, who helps to make sure that we're always following those and our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Probably one of the most important, if not the most important policy, board policy is this one, that the Board of Education vests the primary responsibility for the administration of this district in the superintendent of schools. The appointment of that officer is therefore one of the most important functions the board can perform. So while Michigan compiled law says this is what school boards do, school boards then say, we're going to hire someone and pay them to do that work, to do the administering of the school district. And that's why the Board of Education and the superintendent relationship is so important. You look in our policies, we have these, again, these are useful reminders for us, that the Board of Education believes in general it is the primary duty of the Board of Education to establish policies, and that of the superintendent to administer such policies. Policies should not be originated or changed without discussing it with the board. The superintendent should be given the latitude to determine the best method of implementing policies of the board. The superintendent, as the chief administrative officer of the school district, is the primary professional advisor to the board. They are responsible for the development, supervision, and operation of the school program and facilities. Their methods should be made known to the staff through the administrative guidelines of the district, and the board shall retain oversight, supervision of such administrative guidelines. We don't need to go into this next slide here, but the point is, the board, through its own policy, delegates much of its authority to the superintendent. In short, the Board of Education and the superintendent, they have distinct roles and responsibilities. And we can cite some research here. A school board's primary responsibility is to oversee the education of the students in its district. Individual board members work together in order to reach decisions that have a lasting impact. These decisions are generally broad in scope, and ideally, the board will rarely have to delve into the district's day-to-day operations. The reporting of building-level matters to the board will generally be left to the discretion of the superintendent. So, to clarify, I think sometimes we often hold the view that a district is something that's formed like this. However, board members should view themselves outside of the view of the district chain of command rather than at its apex. Once the top of the chain, the superintendent, has been reached without a satisfactory resolution, board policy usually dictates that the individual can bring the matter to the board, but as more of an appeal mechanism. Boards are encouraged to review the discussion of the superintendent as to whether or not it followed existing policies and procedures in order to achieve an acceptable outcome, not substitute its own judgment for that of the superintendent. Again, by the board's policy, we delegate so much power to the superintendent, and we make sure that the superintendent implements board policies faithfully, with fidelity, and that he and his team follow those policies. And that even includes when we hear from our broader community. So rather, it's more like this. Superintendent at the top of the apex, the administrators, our teachers and staff, with the Board of Education serving alongside of. So this arrangement is important to note because of our distinct responsibilities. The Board of Education, in providing its policies, the framework for students, for how our employees work, and how our students learn, we have the ability to to increase student achievement. Or conversely, you can harm it. And you can cost some money. But we have lots of research for what makes for effective boards. I won't read this whole thing. Rather, we'll just jump right into the National Association of School Boards, their 8 traits of effective boards. So we know that effective school boards commit to a vision of high expectations for student achievement and quality instruction and define clear goals towards that vision. Effective school boards have strong shared beliefs and values about what is possible for students and their ability to learn, and of the system and its ability to teach all children at high levels. Effective school boards are accountability driven, spending less time on operational issues and more time focused on policies to improve student achievement. Effective school boards have a collaborative relationship with staff and the community and establish a strong communication structure to inform and engage both internal and external stakeholders in setting and achieving district goals. We also know, too, that effective boards are data savvy. They embrace and monitor data, even when that information is negative, and use it to drive continuous improvement. Effective school boards align and sustain resources, such as professional development, to meet district goals. Again, that's why our strategic plan is so important. Effective school boards lead as a united team with the superintendent, each from their respective roles with strong collaboration and mutual trust. Effective school boards take part in team development and training, sometimes with their superintendent, to build shared knowledge, values, and commitments for their improvement efforts. So we know that these eight traits of effective school boards, as we'll talk in a moment here, they can increase student achievement. They can create a framework for our teachers to do their best work and for our administrators to do their best work. So for us here in Waterford, this is how this works out. So when something gets to the board table, it's gone through a process. So the superintendent and their team have discussions about some issue that the board might need to take action on. Maybe it's a purchase, maybe it's a change in policy, maybe it's another investment in our technology. So the superintendent, knowing this and talking about this with their team, may ask the board president to poll members of the board to better understand all perspectives. The president may report those back to the superintendent. A refined proposal is brought forth as an information item at a regular meeting, or maybe for discussion at a committee of the whole meeting. So those are our first meetings of every month. The board and administration, we ask questions, we inquire into and have conversations about the proposal. In the interim, the proposal is refined. The superintendent and their team might seek more feedback from the board, so that thing is refined, it's honed, it's sharpened, and then it's brought forth for action at a regular business meeting. There's, again, even more discussion, and the board votes. If that thing then passes, the administration works hard to implement that and to make the most of that policy. So at the end of this process, by the time it gets here, we've had conversations, our administrative colleagues have had conversations, and by the time it gets up here, we hope that it's taken the shape of a proposal that's really going to help us work towards our district goals. A few things to keep in mind. So here, we try our best and we work hard to understand that if any member asks for information related to a board resolution, a policy, a strategic plan, that information is shared with everyone, because that equal access to information is important. It's part of our trust and mutual respect. We here are really mindful of confidentiality because, we have to do that by law, and anywhere where it isn't covered by law, it would erode trust. We understand that the social media thing can sometimes muddy the waters. I'm not sure if folks are aware of that. But So we try to really stick to MASB's recommendations of, we try to advertise and amplify our district's messaging without content, or commentary rather. We know that our members here, we provide directives, that we never provide directives to district employees other than the superintendent, and we provide lots of those to the superintendent. We know too that the board speaks through its minutes. So when we approve our minutes, everything that is dotted on that, those minutes that we vote and approve, those are the words of the board. No individual speaks for the board. We are, of course, mindful of the superintendent's time and focus, and we have a strategic plan. So the results of board policy, our mutual respect, the process, the procedure, well, we know that we have plenty of opportunity to listen, to ask questions, to gain answers. We know that board members and administration have plenty of opportunity to collaborate, to build trust, to sharpen our understanding and proposals. We know that allows us to stay focused on our mission and our role to recognize the expertise of the district and staff leadership. There are no surprises. That is something this board has always felt very strongly about, no surprises, especially when it comes to voting. We know that by the time it gets to us, if we're having conversation, those conversations are just going to be productive. They're going to be focused because we've had so many touchstones when it comes to any proposal that gets up here. By and large, when it gets up here, we're working towards consensus and really making these things the best proposals they can. And we know too, lastly, that student achievement remains our focus. And again, one thing we know up here and we really lean into is we represent our community by creating the conditions for a thriving school district and behaving ways that honor the work of our staff and students. That's what our community wants, and that's what we strive to do. What harder work is there to get up every day and to go learn? So why does all this matter? It's because the research bears out that these things give boards of education the opportunity to influence and increase student achievement. So notably, adhering to these practices, the processes, those eight characteristics of an effective board will likely yield academic gains, and there are no negative consequences. In short, the evidence presented suggests public governing boards can improve their organization's performance by focusing on strategic planning, openness, accountability with and between board members, partnership with the government executive, honesty, community input, board development, and stability over time. In short, Board of Education set the tone and create the conditions for gainful and rewarding work, robust and meaningful learning, and lasting community pride. And this up here, this Board of Education is one that's committed to decorum, respect, and student achievement. And we work really hard to live into those values every meeting, every year. And we know this is about problem solving. And lastly, we know too that a leader is anyone who takes responsibility for finding the potential in people and processes and who has the courage to develop that potential. So that's us up here at the Waterford School District Board of Education. It's our organizational meeting, and it's useful for us to revisit these things, to again remind ourselves of the important role that we play up here. And again, for those following along at home, visit our WSD Board of Education for information about our meetings, our agenda, our strategic plans, and we've got tips for making your voices heard, how to communicate effectively with boards, with your Board of Education. So, colleagues, thanks for indulging me, as always. Thank you. Okay. All right, colleagues, we are now going to move on to our elections of officers. So colleagues, we will now accept nominations for the office of president. Yes, Member Johnson?
I think that you have done a fantastic job, and I would like to nominate you to continue for one more year.
Thank you.
Second? Third. Have a motion? The motion?
Not yet. Are there any other nominations? The office of president? Okay. Excellent. So the motion has been moved. It has been seconded. All those in favor of Member Ristich for president, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you, colleagues. The motion carries 7-0. And thank you so much, colleagues, for your continued trust in me. Okay, colleagues, we'll now accept nominations for the office of vice president. Member Donahue, please.
I nominate Kristen Wagner to stay on for another year as vice president.
Are there any other nominations for the office of vice president? Okay. Thank you, colleagues. All those in favor of Member Wagner as vice president, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion passes 7-0. Congratulations, Member Wagner. Colleagues, we will now accept nominations for the office of secretary.
I would like to nominate Julie, no, messing with you, Julie. John Paul Torres.
Excellent. Are there any other nominations for the office of secretary? Excellent. All those in favor of Member Torres for secretary, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion carries 7-0. We'll get John Paul, the secretary packet here in a moment. We will now accept nominations, please, for the office of treasurer.
I would like to nominate Member Pat Donahue for treasurer and have Ms. Sutherland, our member who has been our treasurer for so long, pass the torch.
Are there any other nominations for the office of treasurer? Excellent. All those in favor of Member Donahue for treasurer, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion carries 7-0. And a big thank you as we move on here to our stalwart Member Sutherland for her expertise and leadership in the treasurer position, and to, of course, Member Joslin for her stellar performance in the role of secretary and her love of reading things in public. So. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Colleagues, we're now going to move on to our Board of Education appointments. So we have our appointments listed in our packet here. I should close out. All right, so the board is seeking appointments to various committees as listed in the packet, and our first appointment is for Oakland Schools. So our previous representative was Member Sutherland, with Member Wagner serving as alternate. Member Sutherland, would you like to continue with this committee, or is there another member who is interested in this appointment?
I'm happy to continue, but I'm also happy if there's someone else that would like to take that on.
And we also will need an alternate, so.
I'm happy to stay on as an alternate if need be, or if there's someone else that is able to attend the meetings and would like to be the alternate.
I'm hearing no opposition, so I think we are good with, unless anyone wants that position, keeping Member Sutherland in as our primary representative with Member Wagner as our alternate. Okay. We're now going to move on to our appointment for the Oakland County School Board Association Government Relations Committee. So the previous representative was Member Wagner with Member Torres serving as alternate. Would you two like to continue in these roles, or do we have other members who might be interested in serving?
I'm happy to continue. I have been the representative for the last 3 years, and I don't mind attending the meetings. And I know that John Paul has graciously been able to attend when I haven't been able to.
Yep, and I can continue on as well as the alternate.
Okay, perfect. All right, then we will keep Member Wagner and Member Torres on the Oakland County School Board Association Government Relations Committee. Okay, excellent. Thank you, you two. Now we're going to move on to our Waterford Township Recreation Board. So the previous representative was Member Patricia with Member Donahue serving as alternate. Would you two like to continue on in these roles?
I would love to.
I'm fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would express interest? Okay. We will keep Member Patricia on as a representative with Member Donahue as the alternate. Thank you both. Okay, so we're now moving on to our Hess Hathaway Advisory Board. So we had, previous representative was Mr. John Hemmelspaugh with Mr. Petrucia serving as alternate. What would the board want to do regarding Hess Hathaway Advisory Board? Continue having Mr. Hemmelspaugh as our board liaison, and Mr. Petrucia serving as alternate?
His member Torres.
Torres.
Is Torres
alternate.
Yeah, I don't know.
on our list.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought. I thought I missed something here. Member Torres.
I felt bad because I hadn't been to any of those.
All right, I'm sorry, everyone. So Member Torres, Member Petrucia, are we interested in?
It's Himmelspot.
If Himmelspaugh wants to continue to serve on behalf of the
I
board,
didn't do that now.
It's
Not on my
not,
list.
your list is not this.
Oh, okay.
I have been on it previously,
So I'm sorry, who's currently serving on it?
but John Himmelspot.
John
Don is,
Himmelspaugh,
yep,
on behalf of the board.
as our primary, and who's our alternate?
Myself.
John Torres, okay. Sorry, thank you.
Has this arrangement worked out well? Has information's been communicated and you feel like we're in the loop?
You think?
Yeah, I have not spoken with Mr. Himmelspaugh, but I know that, I get the alternate information, but I know he's pretty passionate about it, so, I'm fine with it as long as we're getting the information from Mr. Himmelspaugh.
We fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, then we'll,
And I can certainly touch base with him as well, and then what I'll do is see if he's
Perfect.
good with the arrangement.
perfect. Okay, we will, Member Torres will touch base with Mr. Hemmelspaugh, but as of right now, we'll continue with the arrangement, Mr. Hemmelspaugh being our liaison and Member Torres being our alternate. Okay. Okay, moving on now to our Waterford Youth Assistance Board. So our previous representative was Member Joslin with Member Sutherland serving as alternate. Would you two like to continue with this committee, or do we have other interested members?
I don't have a problem continuing if Joan wants to be the alternate, or if somebody else wants to kind of, there's a lot of information that comes out of Waterford Youth Assistance, so, and I will not be here next year. So if somebody else wants to kind of dip their feet in it and see what they do and, I don't know, rotate meetings or whatever, or I'm happy to just continue going, whatever everybody wants to do.
Anyone interested, or we can ask Member Joslin, Member Sutherland, you still interested in serving as alternate?
Julie's been so wonderful, I've never had to, so
Yeah.
my role as alternate has been nil.
Okay, well, I'm hearing that maybe we just keep Member Joslin in as our representative.
Okay.
Joslin, and we'll keep Member Sutherland as our alternate. Okay, excellent. Moving on now, colleagues, to our Head Start Policy Committee. So our previous co-reps were members Wagner, Ristich, and Sutherland. And I know that Ms. Roberts talked to them, and we might need to appoint one representative and one alternate going forward. So who would like to serve as our primary representative and alternate?
Sorry, go ahead, Joan.
I'm happy to do that. I have attended, and I'm happy to do that. I know you and I have spoke about getting a schedule ahead of time, and I know that that's in the works, so. Oh, perfect, okay.
And that one,
But if someone else has an interest, I'm happy to,
that one-
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky because you can only represent for so many years. So that's why they're probably looking for an individual so they can, it's a federal program and they have the federal rules that they have to mandate and follow, and it just gets a little bit tricky. Because I enjoyed that one. They had lunch there. But
It's at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it meets early,
No
right?
free lunch.
doesn't it? No.
you don't think they eat lunch at 10 o'clock? Well, of course I can. Yeah,
And it's Friday morning?
once a month.
And we do, but we have a schedule now because we didn't,
It's in our package.
okay. I'm happy to be Joan's alternate if she isn't able to, as long as we have the schedule and we can kind of figure that out in advance. Now, does the alternate impact how many years you can be an alternate as well?
Presuming, because again, you have so much time, your name is the one that's on there, so that's where it starts getting tricky. If you're alternating, they're not sure who to put that time to.
Well, I mean, if Joan was the main and I just went in her place if she needed, would that also
I think it counts against Joan,
It counts again, oh, okay,
I would presume.
Which is fine.
okay.
Which
yeah.
again, I don't know the federal laws, but they're picky about it.
But I'm happy, Joan, to be your alternate if you aren't able to attend a meeting.
That'd be great, thank you so much.
Okay, so we will have Member Sutherland as our primary representative, Member Wagner as our alternate on the Head Start Policy Committee. Okay. Thank you both. Moving on now to our Drayton Plains Nature Center Committee. So the previous representative was Member Donahue with members Torres and Ristich serving as alternate. Would we like to continue in these roles?
Yeah, I'm happy to continue in this role. I've learned so much about invasive species and water quality. I'm kind of invested now at this point, so, yeah.
Yep. All right, Member Torres, are you still interested in you and I serving as alternates?
Yep, we can do that.
We'll keep that as is. Member Donahue is Ristich, Torres. Okay, so for those following along at home, part of what our role up here on school board is to be on these broader community boards, just to be liaisons and to bring any information relevant information back to the board, but also to make sure that these community boards have an understanding of what's going on in WSD. So again, thank you to all members for their work on these boards. Okay, colleagues, we're now going to move on to our Board of Education operating norms. Okay, so I move that the Board of Education reaffirm the operating norms previously adopted by the Board of Education. It is recommended that the Board of Education reaffirm the following operating norms previously adopted by the board. We will speak with one voice once decisions are made, serve as the community's eyes and ears, and communicate information that may not be well known to the administration in the form of a non-directive heads up. We will be visible in the community. We will ask questions and be willing to learn. We will be prepared. We will govern in an atmosphere that encourages and respects free expressions of opinions and ideas, whether in the minority or majority. We will not surprise one another. We will admit what we don't know. We will keep our minds open to change. We will remain responsible to all students and members of the community. We will communicate openly, honestly, and constructively. We will maintain confidentiality. We will model civility. We will demonstrate a clear distinction between the roles of the board and the administration. We will speak as one voice, not as individuals when giving direction to the superintendent. We will, as individuals, not direct actions or request information that requires significant amounts of additional work or time from the superintendent or staff. We will actively listen to complaints or concerns regarding district activities and then advise the individual on how best to proceed. We will communicate officially with the staff through the superintendent as much as possible. We will delegate to the superintendent responsibility for all administrative functions except those specifically reserved to the board through board policy. I so move.
Support.
Support. Thank you. Colleagues, the motion has been moved and supported. Any comments or questions regarding our board operating norms?
This is just a suggestion. We're duly elected. We can be as stupid as we want. I just want to make sure that part's out there. This is common sense, but there is that one day that,
Yeah.
boom.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for colleagues? All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you, colleagues. Motion carries 7-0. Colleagues, moving on now to our board meeting schedule for 2024-2025, which is all in our packet here. So I move that the Board of Education regular meetings and Committee of the Whole meetings for the 2024-2025 school year be scheduled per the list provided at 6:30 p.m. Regular meetings are held at the Waterford Township Hall Auditorium, which is right here at 5200 Civic Center Drive, Waterford, Michigan, unless posted otherwise. Our Committee of the Whole meetings are held at the Kurzman Administration Services, the Crary Campus, 501 North Cass Lake Road, Waterford, Michigan, unless posted otherwise. I so move.
Support.
Thank you, everyone. The motion's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions on the 24-25 schedule? Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, schedule has been approved, 7-0. Okay, colleagues, moving on now to our consent agenda this evening. Unless there are objections this evening, the consent agenda is approved as presented. All right. All right, thank you, colleagues. We're now going to move on to our information items. We're going to welcome Mrs. Dixon up, and we're going to talk a little bit about Mott High School foreign travel to Costa Rica. Sunny, warm Costa Rica.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am very proud to bring forward Mr. Charles Belcher. He is one of our modern language teachers from Mott High School, and he is very passionate about student learning and exposure to cultures outside of ours, and he is taking it upon himself to seek out another learning opportunity for our students. So he's here tonight to share a proposal with you to take our students to Costa Rica.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Dixon. Thank you, board members. I've actually done this trip before with Mott students in 2019. It was a 10-day trip then. It was full of fun and adventure. And I'd like to do the same thing again this time. This summer of 25, I'd like to, instead of taking students for 10 days, I'd like to take them for 11. And the 11th day also allows for whitewater rafting, as well as hiking volcanoes, going to thermal parks, going for jungle hikes, a cooking class, and as you said, many other cultural opportunities for our students.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Belcher. Colleagues, do we have any questions for Mr. Belcher?
How do I sign up?
I'm sorry, how do you sign up?
How do I sign up?
Oh, yeah, you just have to be a student.
Yeah, Ms. Sutherland, please.
It's not so much a question, but I just want to gush for a minute because it takes a lot out of your life, your time, not just when you go, but also in all of the planning and fundraising and questions and parent meetings and all of those things. But the gift that you're giving these students that sign up is a gift that they will have their entire life. Those experiences are unforgettable, and there's no better way to learn a language than to be immersed in it or to understand another culture and to understand the world around you. And there's so many gifts in travel that you are gifting to our students. So I just want to commend you for going above and beyond in that regard, and thank you for what you do for our students. It's extraordinary and very much appreciated.
Thank you for saying that, I appreciate that.
Member Wagner, please.
Will it be open for ninth through incoming freshmen to seniors? Are there certain grades that you will or will not? That I know that question will come up.
Yes, so current students and then students that will have just graduated that year will still be allowed to go, of course, because they usually plan a year in advance. So they're committing now. As soon as it's approved, I can share the information, and then the students and families would go on the website and they'd start paying against the trip.
All right, great. And there'll be tons of fundraising opportunities to help support them?
Actually, the way it was in the past and the way I intend to do it this time, because like you said already, I'm already giving up a bunch of my time and energy, so I'm leaving it to the students and families to determine the fundraising, because I have my own children and family on top of being a public educator.
Right.
So I'm going to leave it to the families. Actually, the students that did it last time, most of them actually took part-time jobs, saved their own money, and paid for their trip themselves.
Wow. Well, thank you again for providing this opportunity.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
How many went, I'm sorry, how many went the previous time?
So last time, only 4 students.
Okay.
It was the first trip like that in a while.
Sure.
And then at the time, of course, it's an expensive trip, but it's also with World Strides, if you're familiar. And they do a great job.
Member Torres?
World Strides, they're the ones that do the DC trip too, right? Now
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
The 8th grade
Had a good
DC trip, yeah,
experience.
they're famous for that one. Yeah.
Okay, and then if something were to happen, like a natural disaster or like pandemic conditions again, is insured, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think so. I think they do. They have insurance. They have insurance if there's something going on with a student, medical necessity. Yeah, they cover a lot of the contingencies. And a lot of that's outlined in the information shared with you, and there are ways to find that information. If there are more specific questions related to those things, I could find it and share with people if they want to know.
Yeah, and again, I think this is a great opportunity for kids, especially at the high school level. My daughter was in college. She did a study abroad in Spain, and fantastic experience, just being able to do that. So I think getting these kids exposure to different cultures, customs, different country, all those kinds of things is just an opportunity to learn some of the language is a great opportunity. So thank you for contributing your time and your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Other comments or questions? Do you, Member Sutherland? Please.
I just wanted to ask if the fact that we won't be voting on this for almost a month now, is that detrimental to your timeline for approvals and so forth?
The company would like to put pressure on me and say yes, but I don't think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mr. Belcher, do you have a target for how many you might take this time, or how many, do you have sort of your feelers out on?
Yes, I'd like to at least take 12 or 18 students. I know how to promote it better. I've got some really good information. I have some videos and pictures and things to share with students and families when they come and say, look, this is exactly what your kid will do. Your kid will be standing with a rooster on their head in the market. Your kid will be hiking up this volcano. Your kid will be in the thermal springs. Your kid will be walking through the jungle looking, a wildlife in Costa Rica,
Excellent. Any other comments or questions here from Mr. Belcher? Again, thank you so much for your dedication and for bringing this forward. And we look forward to talking about it here in a month. And anything else you might need to get to us in the interim, please feel free to send it along.
All right, thank you so much.
And thank you. Thank you. Right. All right, colleagues. We're going to move on to closed session. So colleagues, by roll call vote, the Board of Education will now recess to closed session to consider the written opinion of legal counsel in accordance with Section 8H of the Open Meetings Act. The regular meeting will reconvene at the conclusion of the closed session. Secretary Torres, will you please take the roll call vote, please?
Member Petrucia?
Yes.
Member Sutherland?
Yes.
Member Ristich?
Yes.
Member Donahue?
Yes.
Member Wagner?
Yes.
Member Joslin?
Yes.
Okay,
All members? Unanimous, all members?
excellent. Thank you so much. The regular meeting is in recess. Okay. Colleagues, we're back. Thank you. All right, we are now on to new business, and we are going to turn it over to Secretary Torres, please.
Thank you, President Ristich. Moving on to Superintendent's Recommendation 462324, Resolution Career and Technical Education, CTE Month. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following resolution in recognition and support of CTE Month, February 2024. Whereas career and technical education offers students the opportunity to gain the academic, technical, and employability skills necessary for true career readiness, and whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic, meaningful experiences that improve the quality of their education and increase their engagement and achievement, and whereas career and technical education provides students with career exploration opportunities earlier in their educational experience, which enables them to make informed and beneficial decisions about their academic coursework and pursue established programs of study and career pathways. And whereas leaders from businesses and industries nationwide report increasing challenges related to addressing the skills gap and connecting qualified professionals with available careers in critical and growing CTE-related fields, including healthcare, energy, advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity, and information technology, whereas career and technical education prepares students for those and other fulfilling careers by offering integrated programs of study that link secondary, post-secondary education and lead the attainment of industry-recognized credentials, and whereas career and technical education programs ensure that employees have access to a qualified and thriving workforce, ensuring America is strong and competitive economy. Now, therefore, the Waterford Board of Education does hereby proclaim February 2024 as Career Technical Education Month. I so move.
Support.
Thank you. This motion has been moved and supported. Any comments or questions, colleagues? Okay, excellent. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. This important motion passes 7-0. Secretary Torres, please.
Superintendent's Recommendation 472324, Resolution National School Counseling Week. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following resolution in recognition and support of National School Counseling Week, February 5th through the 9th, 2024. Whereas school counselors are employed in public and private schools to help students reach their full potential. Whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore the abilities, strengths, interests, and talents as these traits relate to career awareness and development. Whereas school counselors help parents focus on ways to further their educational, personal, and social growth for their children. And whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore their potential and set realistic goals for themselves. And whereas school counselors seek to identify and utilize community resources that can enhance and complement comprehensive school counseling programs and help students become productive members of society. And whereas comprehensive development school counseling programs are considered an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve success in school. Therefore, the Waterford School District Board of Education does hereby proclaim February 5th through the 9th of 2024 as National School Counseling Week. I so move.
Support.
Thank you. Motion has been moved and supported. Comments or questions, colleagues? Excellent. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion carries 7-0. All right, that takes us to the end of new business, colleagues. Let's now move on to our public comments on non-action items. And I have one green card here from Ms. Robin McGregor. So Ms. McGregor, come on up. And of course, while you're making your way up there, Ms. McGregor, I will remind everyone that our comments are limited to 3 minutes in duration. We invite members of the public to share comments, and this is not a moment for questions and answers. And lastly, participants may speak only once on the same topic and are, of course, asked to avoid statements that are personally directed, abusive, or obscene. Mrs. McGregor, welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you. I've come many times and talked about Voorhees. We've had a couple hiccups along the way, but for the most part, everything has gone as planned. And I want to say thank you, and it's appreciated by most of the people in that neighborhood. The the fire department was over there during Christmas break. They put their lock on it, opened it up. We talked to the fire chief. He locked it back up. It was locked for the rest of Christmas vacation. This weekend with the snow plowing, everybody wanted everything opened. But for the most part, everything has been taken care of. And usually people, after they get done getting what they want, they never say thank you. I just want you to know that I appreciate this board going the extra mile to make a difference for that community and letting them know that you care. So happy Board Appreciation Month. And again, thank you. And Scott, thank you for all the time. I know that you had a couple conversations today that I'm sure didn't go as well as they should have, but you try, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. McGregor. Thank you for showing up and for giving us that update. We appreciate it very much. Excellent. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board this evening? All right. Colleagues, let's move on to Board of Education reports. Are there any board reports this evening? Let's start off, please, with Member Wagner.
I just wanted to, whoa, that was loud. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that gifted us these wonderful, beautiful gifts. I love all the homemade cards, the cookies, everything. This is a fun favorite, I think, January, to come in and see all the fun things that the kids have made for us, but know that we do this out of love for our community and for our district, but we very much appreciate the recognition and all of these little treats, so thank you.
Other board reports tonight, colleagues? Member Torres, then Member Pershusha, please.
I as well just want to echo those sentiments. Really appreciate Board Appreciation Month I really look forward to it every year as a school board trustee. Sometimes you're putting in a lot of time as a school board trustee. We're all making difficult decisions. Sometimes we don't agree. We put in a lot of extra time on these things, but we do it out of service to the community. So the recognition is just very nice, and especially to get these things from the kids, these little handmade things, they just brightens your heart. Before I came here, went back in my email one last time and was looking at some things, and I saw that we got an email, and I always forget from one of the elementary schools, couldn't remember which school it was, but just the pictures of the cutest kids, just standing there, thank you for what you do, kind of thing, and it really gave me motivation to get here, and then knowing that this is School Board Recognition Month, and we would have, these cool little signs, and this is appreciation from Durant. It made it easier to get here on a sub-zero day, in the winter. So thank you to our students, our teachers, our faculty, and all of our administrators and everybody that does what they do to make Waterford School District work. Thank you.
Those were our fifth graders from Riverside?
Yes,
yeah.
Riverside.
Great. Member Pershusha, please.
I'd like to thank all my board members for being board members. We may not always agree. You have your opinions, I have mine. We don't always have to be right. Guys. But no, it's Joan, thank you for keeping me a little more centered than, I had been originally. So, yeah, thank you, Joan. I had a couple of things, but the only one I can remember about, I'd gone to the Mott Kettering basketball games. They had the girls first, and I was watching them. Our teams used to be very, very strong in those regards. We had a freshman at a JV university. Now we're just, we only have varsity. So it's kind of hard to watch them for where they've been. And again, the one team was up over the other. It was a good game. The girls were trying, and it got down to the end. I think Mott was up by 10 over Kettering, but the girls were still going after loose balls. They were still trying. To have that commitment when you don't have the feeder program, you don't have the other things going on, but they're still trying, I want to thank the coaches for instilling that. It's easy to quit. You don't have to coach as hard, you don't have to practice, you don't have to do them things, but they're doing it. I only watched half of the boys' game. It's a lot quicker, it's a lot more fun. But my butt was getting sore, so I had to leave. But it's fun. So if you have an opportunity to get out and want to watch some basketball, it's going on, I think, on Tuesdays and Fridays pretty much. But it's impressive. Our gyms look good. The games were exciting. And get out and support your local teams.
Thank you, Member Patricia. Any other board members? Member Joslin, please.
I have some stuff. Okay, so we had the youth assistance meeting last night. We went through a lot of stuff, but there's just some things that I want to let everybody know about. First off, on Saturday is the Winter World of Love and Kindness. So this was pretty much put together by On a Dragonfly's Wings, which is Chris Miller's program. Basically, they focus on kids' mental health and things like that. Youth assistance is they're going to have their slime table again this year, which actually was one of the favorites. Mary Crate, I think they're doing Kleenex boxes. I can't remember what they're making out of them, but it's from 10 to 12 at the CAI building. Your kids need to get out. They need something to do. It's cold outside. This would be a great time to go. I went, I think a couple of years ago. They had a DJ. They had all kinds of stuff for just for kids to do, and it was just all like warm and good feeling and things to relieve stress and anxiety, and it's just a great thing. So if you need a place to take your kids on Saturday from 10 to 12, you can't just drop them off and leave, but from 10 to 12 would be a great place to take them. See, the township, they are going to start Euchre Night at the Elks, which the Elks is now moved to Dixie Highway. I think it's the old Karen's Carpet, right?
No, it's the old it's the old Howard Johnson's, actually.
Oh, it's the old Howard Johnson's, okay. So the dates are to be determined, but they're going to start getting them on a regular basis, so it'll be once a month that they'll be having them there, so I will keep you updated on that. Youth Recognition Night, we don't have that yet, to be determined. Mark your calendars, April 27th is the sheep shearing and pancake breakfast, and that event keeps growing and growing and growing. It's at Hess Hathaway Park from 9 a.m. to 11, so I will probably continue reminding you about this every month. But again, it's April 27th. And then they have the Bucket of Love spring event is on May 14th. They provided us with some stats, so I'm gonna send those to you guys just so that you know how many referrals we've sent them. We're starting to get those reports back. The biggest problems that they see in the school that they're getting referrals from, they get referrals from the school district, the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office, and then other intake facilities such as maybe like people being released from Children's Village, things like that. The biggest problems they're seeing right now are vaping, which that one didn't shock me. Problems with boundaries, that one really didn't shock me, but high screen time. I was kind of blown away by this one, and I think I'm just gonna make a small comment on it. They say that there are kids that are falling asleep in class in 3rd grade because they're up till midnight. I don't understand that. But they say that that's a serious problem. Elementary kids, almost all of them have phones now. They're on them all day. The teachers can't get the kids off them. They tell them to stop doing it. It's kind of like having like 30 twins in a classroom, because when I used to tell one not to do it, the other one immediately ran over and did what the other one was doing that I told them not to do. So just, as parents, just kind of think about that. It's becoming a huge, huge problem, especially in elementary school. Maybe if we can curb it there, we're not going to have as many problems in junior high and high school. But in the vaping, they just did a big vaping, 9th graders at Kettering? Yeah, big vaping presentation, and I heard it was very impactful, so that's all I got.
Thank you, Member Joslin. Member Donahue, please.
Just a couple updates. Through the Drayton Plain Nature Center, one of the things that we talked about this week, kind of excited about it, is it's the final part to the Riverwalk, and that is coming to fruition with the township and the Drayton Plains Nature Center working together to have a bridge that's going to go from the Riverwalk up over the Clinton River into the Nature Center, and so it's going to be all handicap accessible. And so that was really exciting to hear the final plans for that coming on. The other things that they talked about there, just as an update, was the daddy-daughter dance that was held here in January. Went over, it was the largest number of daddy and daughter dancing that they've had in many years, and the mother-son dance is coming up in April, so I'll keep reminding you about that. But again, the different things that they have within those dances for the moms and the sons, or the father and daughters, to do, it was pretty cool to hear all the different things they had for them. And that's it. And a thank you to all the schools for School Board Appreciation Month. This is the end of my first year on the board, and it is just wonderful to see the packets and get the cards from the kids and everything, so we really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Lastly, really quick, I want to echo Member Petrucia in thanking fellow board members. Over the last week, I got to chat with each of you about our officer positions, and it was just, it's such a privilege and an honor to be able to serve next to you, because we have 7 people up here who care so deeply about our students, about our community, and about taking this job seriously so that our teachers can do their best work and that our students can do their best learning. And so I just wanted to say thank you to our colleagues, to my colleagues up here, because we've got a good thing going here in Waterford schools, and this board tries our darndest to honor that work that's happening in our classroom every day. So thank you very much, colleagues. I appreciate you very, very much.
Right back at you.
Superintendent Lindberg, what do you got?
Thank you, President Richards. Well, I'm proud to share that 2 of our WSD staff members have been selected to represent the district in March at the annual McCall Conference. Laura Hornbacher, first grade teacher, and PBL. Remember, problem-based learning was an initiative we began a couple of years ago. She's a PBL leader at Beaumont Elementary, has been asked to return based on her successful session during last year's conference. Laura's session was selected by the committee because of the overwhelming response during last year's conference, with the desire to learn more about PBL in the lower elementary classroom. Now, another teacher, Joe Brown, mathematics teacher over at Pierce, has also been selected to present his session titled Technology to Enrich the Mathematics Classroom and Engage Learning. The McCall Selection Committee had many educators who applied to lead sessions, with the final selection being quite competitive. We are thrilled that 2 of our own teachers from Waterford were honored to be selected for this opportunity, and it is truly amazing to see our teachers sharing their knowledge and showcasing the great happenings in Waterford on a state and national level. In addition, I'd like to share that the latest edition of the WSD Voice podcast features teaming at our middle school, something we initiated just over a year and a half ago. You can check it out on WSD website or on YouTube. It's on the teaming initiative at the middle schools. And in addition to, congratulations to Wired Team 45885F from Pierce and Mason Middle Schools, who competed in their first regular season tournament of the year in Monroe. It was a great experience for this newly formed team, and we are quite proud they took home the Judges Award for their efforts. Finally and lastly, I would like to give a shout out to our Board of Education, who are just wonderful to work with. As President Richards mentioned, I'm very supportive of this community. I am very honored to work with you and for you in representing our students and our staff and our desire for continuous improvement in Waterford. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Superintendent Lindberg. Everyone, thank you for being here tonight. Colleagues, thank you so much. Stay warm. Seeing no further business, tonight's meeting is adjourned. Thank you.